Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to another episode of the Paranormal Industrial Complex. Today is January 2nd, 2020, and let me be the first to wish you all a very happy new year. And speaking of towards 20, we are going to talk about one of the greatest crimes of the 20th century, something that shocked this nation to its core. I'm talking about the Lindbergh Kidnapping. March 1st, 1932, famed aviator Charles Lindbergh discovers that his baby's crib is empty. Upon the windowsill, a ransom note, which more or less says, give me $50,000 if you want to see your kid alive again. Now, a massive investigation whips into shape, and the word goes out everywhere. John Condon, a sort of local celebrity, offers to be the task, have the task of delivering the ransom onto the kidnappers, and $50,000 is given to him. $40,000 of it is in gold certificates, which the idea is those are a little more traceable. So he meets with someone purporting to be one of the kidnappers in the Woodlawn Cemetery of New York City, gives him the $50,000 and says, all right, where's the kid? The so-called kidnapper, who calls himself John, later to be referenced as Cemetery John, he says, okay, he's on board a ship called the Nellie. It's moored off of Martha's Vineyard. Well, massive manhunt goes out over Martha's Vineyard 2 times. No kid. Nothing. Nada. Boom. Now, unfortunately, not too long afterwards, a couple of truck drivers outside Hopewell, New Jersey, make a very grim discovery during a rest stop. They discover the body of the poor young Mr. Lindbergh. His skull has been smashed and the body is largely decomposed. So now this does turn at this point from a kidnapping onto a murder. Unfortunately, there's really nothing to go on. Other than the ransom note and a couple of impressions outside of the windowsill from a ladder, there's really nothing to go on. The trail largely goes cold, so they say, hey, let's put out the word on these the serial numbers on the gold certificates. Well, 2 years goes by with nothing, and then bang, September 18th, 1934, a sharp-eyed bank teller in Manhattan looks down and says, hey, we got one of these certificates that was in the ransom loot. And guess what? Written into the margin of the certificate is a license plate number. What the hell? That's a pretty good clue to go on, isn't it? The cops do a reverse trace. Boom. They show up on the doorstep of one Mr. Richard Hauptmann. There's Mr. Richard Hauptmann. Well, he's a colorful character. In addition to other things, the guy is pretty much a career criminal. He has several convictions for violent crime, including armed robbery and a string of burglaries. What the hell? Not looking good for Mr. Hauptmann, is it? Well, you know what looks worse? The cops do a cursory search of his garage, and they find $14,000 of the ransom money in his garage. Oh, Hauptmann's explanation? Oh, that's not mine. No, I'm just holding that for my friend. Yeah, he's out of the country at this time. Well, the police pretty much find it laughable, and as do I. So, he's indicted, not surprisingly, for the kidnapping and murder of young Mr. Lindbergh, and the whole thing descends into a circus, okay? Every reporter in the country pretty much descends on the city, and New Yorkers themselves hang outside of the courtroom by the thousand, watching this freaking media circus unfold. Hauptmann, of course, protests his innocence along the entire way, right up into his execution a year later. But, I mean, come on now. Let's look at it. He's got 14 grand of the kidnapping money in his garage. Also, they find wood from the ladder. Now, hang on. When I say wood from the ladder, I don't mean like wood that was like of the same species of tree. I'm talking, oh, no. They found the ladder that was used in the kidnapping, and they analyzed it. They analyzed the grain of the wood. They analyzed the knots of the wood. They analyzed where the holes were for the nails. It came from not only the same wood that was in Hauptmann's attic, but it probably came from the same freaking tree. So don't give me this nonsense about how, he was framed or something like that a lot of people later on would try to convince you of. In addition, they had two handwriting analyses done. Both of them said that, yeah, the handwriting in the ransom note is the same as Hauptmann's handwriting. And if you look at examples online, you'll see, yeah, that's pretty much the same. Okay, add to that the fact that, the day that the ransom money was delivered, Hauptmann goes missing from work. 2 days later, he quits his job. So 2 days later, a more or less penniless day laborer quits his freaking job at the height of the Depression 2 days after the ransom money is delivered. And this guy says he's got nothing to do with it, and then he's found with like most of it in his garage. Seriously? That's your story? You gotta be joking me. I mean, I really don't think this should take Perry Mason to convict this guy. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now Hauptmann, as a side note, blames the money actually belongs to a guy named Isidore Fish, who's out of the country. Well, who's Isidore Fish? Isidore Fish is another criminal. Oh my God. Seriously, Hauptmann, you're not making it better for yourself if you're saying that your associates are criminals also. That you, a convicted criminal, are associating with criminals and you're holding the ransom money for other criminals. It doesn't make it better, dude. Now Fish's family comes in and they say, no, this is crazy. Hauptmann, you're guilty. Hauptmann's convicted and he fries. Now years later, yes, there is a sort of revisionist history that comes out and tries to tell that, Hauptmann was innocent and blah, blah, blah. Maybe it was Fish, or maybe it was, the maid, maybe the butler did it, maybe it was Lindbergh that did it. It's funny how none of the evidence points anywhere except to Hauptmann. It's funny how nobody else was found with the money but Hauptmann. It's funny how, nobody else had lumber that, that built the ladder. And by the way, speaking of ladder that was custom made, guess what Hauptmann did for a living? He was a carpenter. Oh, dude, come on now. Seriously, when does it end? Oh my gosh. Anyway, people, here's the thing. Now, as a side note, some people have asked me, what is the deal with this? I mean, why does anybody care? It's kidnapping, yeah, and Lindbergh was a celebrity, but, what's the big deal? Well, let me tell you. Lindbergh was not just a celebrity, not in the current manner. The thing about Lindbergh was he was, pretty much a demigod, okay? He was more or less a rock star and a politician with a soupçon of Messiah thrown in, okay? He did something that most people, only dream of, okay? Most people would call him a true American hero. When his, of course, notable thing was to fly across the Atlantic solo. He did that in 1927, which made him overnight a celebrity and a rich man. Now, two things happen here. Number one, he's living like the finest example of the American dream, because prior to that, he was nobody. Okay, he was an airmail pilot. He was just an underpaid slob. He was nobody. Overnight, with one action, he becomes not only famous but rich. Okay, and he becomes admirable. All right, he's not a celebutant like today's celebutants who are famous for being famous. He's famous for being admirable. Okay, he did something amazing. He did something that people have been trying to do for hundreds of years, which was to unite the old world and the new. Okay, to unite Europe and America. Now you could go by ship, but this is the first time you could do it solo in one shot. Took him 33 hours, but he did it. And when he did it, when he landed in France, 150,000 people came out to visit him. That's how much of an impact he had. And that fame and that money lasted him for decades to come. All right, folks, this is Dallas Deluxe. I am signing off. You have yourself a great 2020. Happy New Year. I'm going to ride off into the distance, into the business end of the paranormal industrial complex. Look at it.